Hello everyone, I'm Rodney from 3GameMan.com, and today I'm looking at the Thermaltake Core V51 case. Now the box really isn't anything special to look at. There are some pictures though on the product on it, plus features and specifications about it. It has your typical case packaging material, styrofoam on either end, and the case itself is in a plastic bag. There's a super large window on the left side panel, and they have protective plastic here on the outside, as well as on the inside. Now this may look like a full tower case, but it is not. It's a mid-tower case, but it's extremely deep. It measures in at 540 millimeters high. It's 236 millimeters wide and 560 millimeters deep. Pretty darn deep, and that's going to give you the ability to fit all kinds of computer goodness on the inside. Now as you can see, the front of the case, there's mesh, looks quite nice, rounded top and a rounded bottom. This front panel comes right off by pulling at the bottom. Like so. There is nothing connected to it. That's beautiful. They have a couple of 5 1/4 inch drive bays here, and there's fillers here, the drive bay covers, which have foam in them, so they double as dust filters. This as well is a humongous dust filter. Not super easy to remove, but you can remove it nonetheless. Okay, so let's back up a little bit and have a closer look at this beautiful mesh that they have here, and the rounded top, the bottom is the same. You have a power button right in the middle and the power LED around that. Here's the hard drive activity LED, the reset button. There is a microphone jack and a headphone jack, plus on the right 2 USB ports. And their logo, which is on the front bottom. Okay, so with the front panel removed, you can see that they include 2 120 millimeter intake fans, but you can add another optional 120 millimeter fan as well if you want to, for a total of up to 3 120 millimeter fans. Alternatively, you can have up to 2 140 millimeter fans, or you can have a humongous 200 millimeter fan installed. Note all the holes here for routing the leads. Now as for radiator support, at the front you can fit a 120, 240, or a 360 millimeter rad. Alternatively, a 140, 280, or 240 millimeter radiator. And at the front bottom is a removable dust filter. There's no mistaking this humongous window that's on the left side panel. Very nice. Now the right side panel is plain, but it does have this punch out here, and that's to give you a little bit more space behind the motherboard tray. With the case on its side, let's have a look on the top. They include this very large dust filter, and it's magnetic. Pretty darn cool, right? They have all kinds of fan and radiator options up here, so let's go through that. You can fit either 1 120, 2 120s, or up to 3 120 millimeter fans. There's nothing included. Same goes for 140 millimeter fans, 1, 2, or 3 of those. Alternatively, you could put 1 200 millimeter or 2 200 millimeter fans. Incredible amount of room at the top of this case. Now, as for radiators, you can do 1 120, 1 240, 1 360, 1 140, 1 280, or 1 420 millimeter radiator. At the back of the case, at the very top, are 3 rubber ground-mounted holes. These are for routing the water cooling tubes through. Now, as for the diameter of tubes that you can fit through these holes, well, you can have 1/2 inch, 3/8, or 1/4. Now they include a 120 millimeter exhaust fan. Alternatively, you can put an optional 140 millimeter back here, but as for radiator support, you can only fit a 120 millimeter rad in this location. Here is where you would install the motherboard's I/O shield plate. They include 8 ventilated expansion slots, extra ventilation, and a standard ATX power supply gets installed at the bottom. They do include a removable dust filter. Now, like other Thermaltake cases, they have some security. There's a little latch right here which is secured from the inside of the case, and the left side panel can be secured using a standard lock which you pass through here. How this works is you just undo it, and then you put the mouse, keyboard, cables, etc. through this. Then you just, screw this back into place, and it will give you that little bit of security. Great if you're, going to a friend's place or LAN parties, because, well, you might be concerned that someone's going to take your stuff, although this is a pretty big case for LAN parties. Still, it's nice to have it there. Now, would you look at the space inside this case, and all of these drive bays right here, they are modular. They come right out to give you even more room. Now the motherboard tray in this case, like 99% of cases these days, is not removable. That might be unfortunate, but it's just the reality of cases these days, and not really a big deal for cases like this because you can really get inside quite easily and work on the case itself. You have a large hole on the motherboard tray though for the cooler's retention plate. Plenty of cable management holes as well with this case. You can fit motherboards that are up to, well, the big ones, the extended ATX. So mini ATX, micro ATX, standard ATX, as well as the extended ATX motherboards. A little interruption here in this video review to bring you a word from my sponsor, Antec. They currently have a new power supply line, the Edge series. They come in 3 different models, 550 watt, 650 watt, and 750 watt. You can check them out at www.antec.com. Now, back to the video review. Now, a lot of cases these days are opting out of 5 1/4 inch drive base, but this case has 2 of them. But if you don't want 5 1/4 inch drive base, don't worry about it. You can remove these. But if you want some, you got them. There you go. You can't complain anymore. Best of both worlds with this case. Plus, they have a toolless design on each of them, as well a toolless design system here for installing 3 1/2 inch drives. Just kind of slide it up like so, put the drive in, and slide it back into place. You can also install 2 1/2 inch drives on each of these, but you will need to use screws when doing so. Now, there's 2 removable or modular cages. The one at the top you can fit 2 drives in. The one at the bottom you can fit 3 in. So here's what it looks like with the top drive cage removed. And with both of them removed, this will give you complete access here to the front of the case and more space to work. Now let's go through the clearance for the CPU height, video card length, and power supply length. As for the cooler height limitation, you can have a cooler that is up to 185 millimeters tall. As for video card length, you can have one that is 310 millimeters long if you have the hard drive cage installed here. If you remove it though, you can have video cards that are up to 480 millimeters in length. Now, if you have a fan installed at the bottom of this case, the power supply limitation would be 220 millimeters, but other than that, I mean, you're going to be able to fit any length power supply in here. At the bottom of the case, you can fit either 1 or 2 120 millimeter fans, and as for radiators, well, you can fit a 120 or a 240. As well, all of the 3-pin fan leads are sleeved. Now, they have 4 rubber feet, and notice how tall they are. That's good because it will give you that space between the floor and the fans, and that will allow, you know, them to intake all kinds of cool air. Finally, have a listen to the stock fans. This is an outstanding case. It looks incredible and it's packed full of excellent features, plenty of space to work on the inside, lots of room for fans and drives and water cooling and all that wonderful stuff. Without a doubt, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care.